I would like to create a better veterans program here if I could in the future, and maybe get into military applications.
I want to be the next Elon Musk. So first I want to work for Tesla, and then I want to go and, maybe, I don't know, go to Pluto or something.
I want to create the next supercar.
I hope to become one of the best biomedical engineers and make some kinds of solutions, especially relating to diabetes.
So we're trying to build, a connection between economics and some of these engineering programs, kind of create something new for the future.
I hope to create the next woman orthopedic surgeon in the city of Atlanta.
What I dream to create is handheld quantum computers. So that's something that I want to be working on someday, hopefully.
I am really into finding an alternate source of energy that won't really harm the environment so much as the ones we have now.
I'd like to create the next maybe Apollo mission. I want to be at NASA, kind of doing the next space frontier.
I want to improve the systems and companies in Poland. That's where I come from. I want to bring the knowledge that I gain here and, improve what's going on right there in their companies.
I hope to create medical grade wearables to be able to diagnose heart failure in advance prior to it actually happening.
I'd really like to work with policymaking, specifically with emergency preparedness for disease outbreaks.
I'd like to create the next transportation grid.
I'm definitely ready to create the next within my own future, but also hopefully impacting other people while I'm here on campus.
Water is one of the defining problems of the 21st century. Apart from the water resources issues, there's also the problem of water quality, which affects public health in many places around the world. Not only in the U.S., as we've seen with Flint, but especially in underserved communities in low and middle income countries where access to clean water is not something that we can take for granted necessarily. This course I teach, Environmental Technology in the Developing World, is basically a vehicle to allow for undergraduates in the College of Engineering to work on a real research project in an underserved community. In this case, in Cochabamba, Bolivia, where we had students partnering with a local university there, especially during field sampling over spring break. Throughout the semester, we plan for this trip, we write a proposal, we develop methods, and we do all of this in consultation with our local partners. Then when spring break comes, we get in a plane and we travel to Bolivia, and we're there for just a few days to do this project with our local partners.
A typical day on this Bolivian trip involved us getting up pretty much at the crack of dawn, meeting with our Bolivian counterparts, the school that we were working with, and we would go into little buses and go to our area of the city for that day.
You'd be driving around the city for the whole day, taking samples in the field, and then towards the end of the day, 4 or 5 o'clock, we'd go back to the lab.
We'd have to process the samples, get them ready for the test, and also read samples that had been incubating overnight from the previous day.
Or even just crunching data,
just
crunching numbers. Yeah. I would do that at dinners some nights.
But it was also super fun collaborating with the Cochabamba students and us working in the lab, and then once we finished, we would go to dinner, go to sleep, and then do it all over again the next day.
This experience definitely allowed us to bond in ways that we wouldn't have otherwise if we hadn't gone on the trip. I think because we spent so much time together in close quarters and working all the time, that definitely allowed us to bond in ways with each other and with the students that we were working with at UCB as well.
But this makes us work with engineering students from a different culture, people that use a different primary language, Spanish in this case, and it forced us to work together to accomplish a much larger goal. And we could have never done it without the other side.
Working with an underserved community has set me up to be a successful engineer, because the biggest problem with working with underserved communities is a lot of times the technical solution, the engineering solution, doesn't take into account the community feedback. That can be applied to any engineering position, because you always need to know the people or the company, whatever setting your technology, your solution is going to be going towards. It can't just be technically sound. It has to fit the mold and all those requirements.
Knowing how the human part fits in with the technology and science part, how those weave together so nicely, I think is something that will continue to resonate with me.
I would definitely consider this a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but also I hope it's not a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It was like the best of all worlds, and I hope I get to experience this again because it was really an amazing opportunity. I got to learn so much.
These students come back to the Georgia Tech community and share this experience with the rest of us in the College of Engineering. And I think really is a wonderful representation of the value of having undergraduate researchers involved in research abroad, recognizing the important contributions that they can make. If you take a really passionate undergraduate researcher and put them to work on a real-world problem and give them the tools and guidance that they need, they can make incredible strides in understanding and in contributing to research that we do here.
Growing up, I didn't have a lot of experience or background with college, but my best friend's father was a mechanical engineer, and he took my friend and me to Kansas State University's open house the spring of our junior year. And while I was there, I saw this machine that peeled a grapefruit. Not just the outside peel of the grapefruit, but the individual sections. And I remember watching that movie of this machine that peels a grapefruit and thinking, I want to do that when I grow up. When I was in junior high and high school, we talked some about college, but because neither of my parents had attended college, it was not something that was really high on the priority list. And when I was in junior high, I used to go to work with my father. Very early in the morning, he repaired the stock quotation boards for stock brokerage houses, and I'd help pull wires and test vacuum tubes. And I remember they were sending him back to school to try to get some additional education as vacuum tubes were being replaced by transistors and digital electronics. He was not able to make that transition, and as a result lost his job and ended up taking a number of other jobs, which was kind of a hard time for our family and for him. Today I recognize how the college preparation that I had positioned me to be able to adapt to a changing world. When you think of how fast technology is changing today, college education just increases and has increased so much in terms of importance. Again, not because of what you learn, but because you learn how to learn. One of the big challenges for me when I went to college was there weren't a lot of people around me that were familiar with the process. My parents had not gone to college. And so every time I did something, it was kind of like the first time. Val and I have 4 adult children, and all 4 of them went to college. In fact, all 4 of them have master's degrees, 2 of them from Georgia Tech. And certainly the fact that I had a college degree and went to college made that very important in terms of our children and what the expectations were for our children. And we see that time and again with first-generation students, that they understand the value of college education, and that understanding helps them pass that knowledge and the importance of a college degree to their children. I know there are some students who, maybe because of their family situation or their circumstances, are not in a position where they can go to college in the traditional manner. And the advice I'd give to them is don't give up. There are a huge number of alternative paths by which people can pursue a college education. Some of them are challenging, it'll be hard, may be difficult, but don't give up. Keep after it, it'll be well worth it in the long run, not just for you, but for your children and for their children and for generations to come.
What I love most about Georgia Tech is probably the community that we have here. It's one of those schools where I feel like everyone wants to help each other out.
The startup culture around Georgia Tech is simply exhilarating, and I wanted to be a part of it.
The academics part of Georgia Tech is really important to me. Georgia Tech is like a nationally accredited university.
Well, it's good to have a campus in the heart of a city. It's a healthy thing for everyone.
Basically, I really choose Georgia Tech for all the technological vision of the university.
It provides so many opportunities like co-ops, research, internships.
I like being around other students that are just extremely motivated to do more than just the minimum, the classwork. that are working on projects on their own, who I can exchange ideas from.
I love the amount of diversity here and how much it feels like home away from home, and just the fact that I know I'm getting a world-class education.
I'm from Connecticut, so being down here where everything's green in the middle of a city was so cool.
Many students here, they are open-minded and they are so friendly.
Despite it being a technical school, there's so much it has to offer other than just engineering and science. There's School of Public Policy, School Ivan Allen, College of Liberal Arts, music school.
This environment makes me really want to do something good.
I've been in the city for a while, and I really like the culture in Atlanta, like especially music. I'm a huge music geek.
Everybody is passionate about what they do and motivated to pursue something greater than just an average job. They want to make an impact on the world.
The thing I love most about Georgia Tech is just cultural diversity here. You have everyone from every continent except probably Antarctica.
The faculty and the teaching staff, the buildings, the weather, everything, it's just mind-blowing.
There's so much here that students are able to do, figure out, just find their own path, and that's why I came here, and I think I'm really excited that I've been able to do that.
First, we call it the Roboquarium because we thought it was an aquarium for robots where you looked in, and then we realized that there's no water, so it's a terrarium, hence the Robotarium. So this is the Robotarium, which is a remotely accessible swarm robotics lab where people from all over the world can upload code and run experiments remotely on our glorious swarm of robots. What people will see when they walk by are robots doing stuff. So large teams of robots, either on the ground or in the air, assembling shapes or covering areas or pretending to be cars in traffic or tractors out on a field. But they may also see, to be honest, really bad experiments because that's research too. And finding out that something doesn't work is sometimes as valuable as finding out that it works. So when you're doing robotics, it takes a lot of resources to actually get to a point where you have a sharp, world-class research facility. So there are lots of people with really good ideas, but that can't actually put them on real platforms. This is solving that. If you have a good idea, you should be able to run your idea and test it on real robots. This is going to be a model for how one will think about research instrumentation broadly. And Georgia Tech gets to be on the forefront, actually leading the charge for the next revolution or the next wave of what research labs should and could be. You don't have to be a professor at Georgia Tech or MIT or Berkeley or any of the other big universities to actually be able to do world-class research. You don't even have to be a professor. You can be a Girl Scout troop or a middle school kid. And now all of a sudden you can do things for real on a sharp research platform. So the fact that we can reach so many people makes me very, very excited.
My name is Nicholas Das. I'm a third-year chemical and biomolecular engineering student. Music has always been a big part of my life, and the music program here at Georgia Tech has helped me tremendously with adjusting to life at Tech and allowing me an escape from the formulas and all the hard, rigorous coursework here at Georgia Tech. My mind can just be set free. I don't have to think about any formulas or any laws of thermodynamics or physics or anything. I just play, do what I do best, and I just play my instrument. And that's one of my favorite parts of playing music here. I'd have to say the only major link with chemical and biomolecular engineering, you're always striving to optimize your process, and in music, you know, you're always continually striving to tweak your sound, tweak your intonation a little bit to get that next level of sound when you're playing.
My name is Dawn Andrews, and I'm an aerospace engineering major. Music's very important to me. It's always been one of my passions. I'm very thankful that Georgia Tech has opportunities to continue pursuing music. It's my emotional release. I get to put aside all my homework, all my tests, all my stress, and just sit down and play and lose myself in the music. It's a little hard to connect aerospace engineering with piano playing. There aren't really pianos in space, but I like to think that it's two different sides of a coin. Aerospace engineering is where I can be practical and detail-oriented, and music is my creative outlet, but the two balance each other pretty well.
Georgia Tech was founded over a century ago with the idea that change is ever constant. A groundbreaking here leads to a state-of-the-art facility where the next medical breakthroughs are being created. An idea here leads to the site of a technology anchor for an entire region, which sparks the next generation of big ideas. We believe that what's created here should impact everywhere.
In this age of rapidly changing technology and global challenges, the question has become, what's next? At Georgia Tech, we're on it. From cell manufacturing and clean energy to cybersecurity and cures for diseases. We're partnering on campus and around the world, creating the next.
Corals are some of the most important species in many ocean ecosystems. They provide a foundation for organisms ranging from microbes to fish. In my group, we want to understand how global climate change is impacting these coral communities. Armed with this knowledge, we hope to anticipate what may be ahead for critical coral ecosystems all over the globe.
Equipment running our critical infrastructure is not at all like the computers we use in our homes and businesses. This equipment can't be protected against hackers by host-based firewalls or antivirus programs. We're creating the next generation of protection for this vital equipment by developing the equivalent of voice fingerprints that allow us to detect when critical devices are being attacked.
Aerospace manufacturers are shifting more and more to advanced composite materials for new aircraft design and manufacturing. We're creating the next generation materials and manufacturing technologies to enable airlines to better monitor and repair those composite aircraft structures. That will help bring down the maintenance cost and reduce repair cycle time to keep airplanes fly safely with less downtime and more on-time arrivals.
We're creating the next generation of photovoltaic cells using light trapping structure.
By trapping more light, our cells can absorb more photons and operate efficiently, even when the sun isn't directly overhead. Cells using our design were recently launched to the International Space Station for testing.
The recent measurements of gravitational waves by the LIGO observatories was a major milestone for astrophysics. Georgia Tech contributed to that discovery, and we're continuing to work as part of LIGO and other major research projects aimed at creating a better understanding of our universe.
Future therapies for a wide range of diseases will depend on using living cells. To be effective and affordable, these cell-based treatments will require the ability to produce large volumes of living cells consistently and at high quality. We are creating the next generation of manufacturing technologies for producing the cells that will be used in these therapies.
Today's healthcare record systems keep information in separate boxes that make it difficult for doctors to see the whole picture. We're creating the next generation of health information systems that connect information from doctors, pharmacies, clinics, hospitals, and health insurance providers in a single place. That will enable doctors to spend more quality time with patients, improve the health of communities, and reduce costs.
We're creating the next generation of robotic control systems that will allow swarms of devices to work together. Just like ants, birds, or fish, the robots collaborate to solve complex and difficult problems.
When I decided to come to the US and study, it wasn't as easy as I'm leaving. My parents they didn't believe me until I actually had my luggage in the bed and I was about to leave. That's when it hit them that I was serious about this dream. We didn't have aerospace engineering in Mexico back in the day, so the closest university was in San Diego. In order to get here to Georgia Tech, I had to go to a community college first. So I went to San Diego City College. I didn't want to give up my dream. I really wanted to study aerospace engineering. I really wanted to come over here and get the best education I could. So I decided that I will keep this dream going even if I had to cross the border every day to go to school and live in a different country. And I started living with my parents again. I would wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning. My dad would be making breakfast and lunch for me. He would take me to the border and I would arrive to the border at around 4 a.m. And since I didn't have a car, I had to cross by foot. So I would get in line and make about 2 hours in line and cross to the other side at like 6 a.m. Once I was on the other side, I would take a trolley and it would be like an hour. So I would get to school at 7. That's like on a regular day. I would at school in the morning, take classes, do my homework, and then be involved in organizations, clubs, or anything so I could get more leadership and get out there. Then I would go home and would arrive home in Mexico at like 10 p.m. Just have dinner and go to bed so I could wake up the next day again. The thought of me going to college was always there. I think my parents never went past high school. I was really curious, like, what is this Georgia Tech school? And it's in the US, so I looked it up, and they had a great aerospace program. They had a lot of research opportunities, and the campus was just beautiful. It was on the other side of the country, so it would give me the experience I was looking for. I didn't know anybody from Georgia. Didn't know where to go or what to do. I think I didn't even have a bank account or anything. I just had cash. The biggest challenge of being a first-generation student really is not knowing what to do and how to do things. Everything I do is first, applying for college, doing my taxes. Everything I've done here is a first for me and for my family as well. They have supported me in so many ways with love, financially, but really from the border to this side, it has been all me. And that has been the hardest thing, because really I don't have a net in which I could just fall if something goes wrong. The college experience has taught me a lot of doing things on my own and really pushing myself to limits I never thought I had. To come to a university like Georgia Tech that is on the other side of the country and that attracts so many international students, I've been able to get a perspective from the world, from the people that actually live in different countries. I really want to go to a small university that I can help grow and become a better university. So that's why I want to go to San Diego State University and do my master's, potentially my PhD. And I'm also a co-op with NASA. So I will be working with NASA and doing my master's at San Diego State University, and then eventually just become a full-time employee at NASA. I think my experience will impact other students because being a first-generation college student, being Hispanic, coming from a different country, can really show other students that are afraid of making this big move to a university. It can show them that it can be possible. You know, even if all the odds are against you, we have to believe in our dreams first before we're able to make others believe in them. And it's very important that they stand for what they believe in, what they want to do, and to teach them why they want to do the things so that it could support them fully in this new journey. I'm really proud that I was able to persevere and have faith on these dreams, to take the risk, and to decide to leave everything behind, even my fears, to follow a dream that might or might not happen. And being able to do that, to cross the border every single day, not knowing if it was gonna be worth it or not. I'm really proud that I was able to keep going regardless. It only matters that you really wanna do it. It doesn't matter what everybody else says. It only matters what you wanna do. I decided this path, and not a lot of people take it. Even I think, how would I cross the border every day? Why did I do it? Because not a lot of people take the risk because they're afraid they might not accomplish. But I realized that anything, and really any dream, can be possible if anybody puts the effort into that dream.
Everyone thinks of Flint, Michigan when they think about water problems in the United States, but an estimated 100 million Americans are drinking water with lead in it, so it's a problem that is massive and scales far beyond Flint.
You drink water every day. It's a very important part of life, and making sure that that water is actually clean and that people are drinking safe water is very important.
I'm Shannon Ivanchek, co-founder of True Pawnee. True Pawnee started in the summer of 2015 when Sam, my co-founder, and I were on a research trip in India, and we observed this problem between the quality of water that people were accessing and the quality of water that they were drinking.
I'm Samantha Becker, and I'm co-founder of True Pawnee. So you have water coming from a treatment plant that's very clean, and then it's becoming contaminated on its journey from the treatment plant to the home.
Water changes from the source and from when people drink it. And that problem happens in India, and that problem happens here in the United States. When people adopt a new technology, that requires a behavior change. And although we had designed this to minimize the behavior change, we realized that a consistent presence is really necessary to have people adopt a new technology.
When an entrepreneur comes up with an idea, it's usually through personal experience or first-hand experience. And so we actually instill this mindset in them that they have to engage with customers, really try to understand the problem from the customer's standpoint, and that almost always is going to require some change in their business idea.
I would say that our core mission has still stayed the same. We're still trying to keep safe water safe. It's just a matter of how we're going about doing that. It's a do-it-yourself at-home testing kit, so you would receive it in the mail. It would come and they would be their test strips, so you're getting immediate results. You dip it into a sample of water and it'll tell you whether the contaminant that you're testing for is safe or not. Then you can go and plug in your results online, and we will track everything for you and tell you if there's a problem, what you can do about it.
So we really want to simplify it and do all of the hard work for people, so all they have to do is dip a strip in their water. We want to monitor that data for them and provide metrics over time. As we continue this, Georgia Tech has played a role in every single phase and aspect of the company. We had the privilege to participate in the CreateX program through Georgia Tech, which is a 3-month program that equips startup co-founders with their first round of capital and a little bit of a crash course in what it takes to run a startup.
Georgia Tech has such an awesome entrepreneurial community. You're meeting so many people that are working in the tech square and all these different incubators and accelerators. You really get a good idea for the depth of how Georgia Tech is invested in that community.
And since then, we've been connected with a Georgia Tech alum, Jeff Lane, who has mentored us as well as invested in the company.
When you graduate from Georgia Tech, you have resilience, and combine that with the entrepreneurial community at Georgia Tech, I think it really meshes well together.
Long term, I would like to see us being the company that monitors water quality for large corporations.
When we were deciding to change focus or to just quit, we realized that we have such a good understanding of what it takes to start a company. We felt like we could really make a difference and we could really do it.
In this age of rapidly changing technology and global challenges, the question has become, what's next? At Georgia Tech, we're on it. From cell manufacturing and clean energy to cybersecurity and cures for diseases. We're partnering on campus and around the world, creating the next.
Corals are some of the most important species in many ocean ecosystems. They provide a foundation for organisms ranging from microbes to fish. In my group, we want to understand how global climate change is impacting these coral communities. Armed with this knowledge, we hope to anticipate what may be ahead for critical coral ecosystems all over the globe.
Equipment running our critical infrastructure is not at all like the computers we use in our homes and businesses. This equipment can't be protected against hackers by host-based firewalls or antivirus programs. We're creating the next generation of protection for this vital equipment by developing the equivalent of voice fingerprints that allow us to detect when critical devices are being attacked.
Aerospace manufacturing are shifting more and more to advanced composite materials for new aircraft design and manufacturing. We're creating the next generation materials and manufacturing technologies to enable airlines to better monitor and repair those composite aircraft structures. That will help bring down the maintenance cost and reduce repair cycle time to keep airplanes fly safely with less downtime and more on-time arrivals.
We're creating the next generation of photovoltaic cells using light trapping structure. By trapping more light, our cells can absorb more photons and operate efficiently, even when the sun isn't directly overhead. Cells using our design were recently launched to the International Space Station for testing.
The recent measurements of gravitational waves by the LIGO observatories was a major milestone for astrophysics. Georgia Tech contributed to that discovery, and we're continuing to work as part of LIGO and other major research projects aimed at creating a better understanding of our universe.
Future therapies for a wide range of diseases will depend on using living cells. To be effective and affordable, these cell-based treatments will require the ability to produce large volumes of living cells consistently and at high quality. We are creating the next generation of manufacturing technologies for producing the cells that will be used in these therapies.
Today's healthcare record systems keep information in separate boxes that make it difficult for doctors to see the whole picture. We're creating the next generation of health information systems that connect information from doctors, pharmacies, clinics, hospitals, and health insurance providers in a single place. That will enable doctors to spend more quality time with patients, improve the health of communities, and reduce costs.
We're creating the next generation of robotic control systems that will allow swarms of devices to work together. Just like ants, birds, or fish, the robots collaborate to solve complex and difficult problems.
Did you know that a percentage of every purchase of officially licensed Georgia Tech products goes to support Georgia Tech students? So go ahead, grab your Georgia Tech gear and change the life of a talented tech student.
Hi, my name is Skylar Lee. I'm currently on the electrical engineering track, and I'm hoping to pursue a minor in music technology. I think that Georgia Tech strikes a really fine balance between technology and the arts because the arts uses your right brain and technology uses your left brain, and in order to become a very successful engineer, you have to use both sides of your brain so you can become a more well-rounded person. The arts at Georgia Tech are very important to me. I'm enrolled in orchestra right now, and it's really helped me develop my skills as a musician alongside my skills as an engineer. The thing that brings me joy when I play violin is always seeing the reactions of people who listen to me. It's always really invigorating when everyone's always clapping for me, everyone's smiling, having a great time, and that's what I really enjoy doing, and it's not something that I can just bring out in a piece of code.
Hi, I'm Avrosh Kumar. I'm a master's student in the Music Technology department. Making music is to try new things, get the new sounds out. I remember I started with a guitar, and these days I almost just exclusively press buttons. That's all I do. It's such a multidisciplinary field, you know. We are not just doing music or software, we are actually doing everything that's based around something that will improve the music. What we're trying to do is bring that overlap where you don't lose the expression and performance of electronic music. So it's not just playing buttons; it's also the action and the involvement while you're performing. But it's all about looking for that next sound, and that's what drives me. I mean, the idea of putting an EP out there just excites me.
It's one of those things that's looked at as kind of the movie star dream,
And that's great to talk about, but really the expectation is that, oh, well, after high school, you'll probably just get married, have a family, and your husband will work. And that was just the norm for where I grew up. My name is Jordan Tapley. I graduated in 2015 with a biology degree. I grew up in a town called Griffin, Georgia. I spent a lot of time in a smaller town where a lot of my family was, practically 200 people that I was probably related to most of them. So growing up in a town where college wasn't entirely the norm, and in a family where it wasn't the norm, it was a bit challenging at times. A lot of it, particularly as we got closer to college time, was more so me doing a lot of research on my own and talking with a few of my friends who also had the same kind of goal in mind. When I think about where I get my drive from, most of it stems from my family, particularly from my grandfather. A few weeks before I graduated high school, he sat me down on the couch away from the rest of the family, and he basically said, "Jordan, you're much bigger and brighter than what this town can offer you, and you have to go to college." He said, "It's going to be hard, and it doesn't matter how hard it is, it doesn't matter what roadblocks life throws in your way, that's what you're going to do." Unfortunately, the week after my high school graduation, he passed away. But he got to see me graduate high school, and he got to see me be accepted to Georgia Tech. My parents said, "We're incredibly proud of you. We have no idea what to do here. Figure it out." I think the biggest challenge of being a first-gen college student is probably the need for growing up a little more quickly than you might have expected to. I was having to deal with a few more things that maybe some of my peers whose parents and whose grandparents had gone to college didn't really have to be concerned about, because they kind of had that past experience supporting them, and they kind of knew what to expect. Looking back to where I came from a town where college isn't the norm, a big job isn't the norm, women working isn't the norm. It's not how it has to be. You know, you can, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an engineer or for anything, you can do that no matter where you come from. The advice I would give to students who are first gen and come from certain circumstances that they believe might not get them to college is that's not true. Start pursuing it now. Now is the best time to do it. Start looking at schools that you've always dreamed of going to. What does it entail? Do you have to get these grades in these classes? Okay, great, take those classes next semester. It's all about taking it a day at a time. You can't worry about things that might be an issue next week or next year or once you start college. Just figure out what you need to do today and get really excited. You're basically starting off a tradition in your family and you're telling future generations in your family that you can do this too. Honestly, in progressing through school and my career now, I always look back and think, if I had chosen to go to another school, I don't think this would have happened. I don't think I'd had the mindset that I do now particularly in my career. I don't think I'd have the same mindset and the same drive that I would if I hadn't have gone to Georgia Tech. What you think you're capable of isn't necessarily your limit. There's so much more you can do. There's so many options out there that you can choose. These are your circumstances now. That doesn't mean anything. You know, you can be wherever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. And it just takes a little sweat, a little work, and it's all worth it in the end. Currently, I am a senior consultant with a healthcare software company. It's a startup here in Midtown that I found. I travel around the country and meet with the different cancer centers and pharma companies that we work with to help basically optimize how they run their clinical trials. I was born and raised in Georgia. I went through grade school in Georgia, went to college in Georgia, and now I have the privilege and I'm fortunate enough to have remained in Georgia, and that's where I work and that's where I still call home.